taken food. Can you name some interesting examples, not the usual ones? Question is for you also, Jadwa.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, my question is, name some organisms who have got very interesting way to obtain nutrition from the surroundings. Like we humans, we simply chew our food, we bite our food, okay, and chew it, and we then grind it by our teeth. But there are certain organisms in this world that has got very interesting way of engulfing their food. Okay. Like Mafaz, if you remember, we talked about them. Like you see.
Housefly.
Which one?
Housefly.
I'm not able to hear you properly. Will you be please more clear? Yes, Mafaz?
Sir, housefly.
House flies. Okay, house flies. Okay. What about you? Yes, Yadva? Look, if you see these different organisms here, from snail till house fly, they take in food by different methods. Some of them simply chew their foods. Some of them scraps their food. And some of them simply swallow their food. Okay, and house fly, they brew their food. So these are the general methods by which animals take in their food. But there are certain animals in nature, like you see, hydra. If you were to talk about an aquatic animal, that is hydra, this animal takes its food in a very interesting way. What it does, whenever a prey comes nearby to an hydra, what this hydra does here, observe the figure here. Okay, this hydra has got tube-like structures rotating around its mouth. What do we call that, Mafaz?
Sir,
What do we call that?
tentacles. Tentacles.
Tentacles. Okay, Jadwa, these are called what? Tentacles. So what this hydra does, whenever a prey, whenever its food comes nearby, what this hydra does, it simply entangles the prey around by the help of their tentacles. So this prey gets trapped in the tentacles of hydra, and slowly it starts to swallow that prey. So that is how an aquatic hydra, which is basically an animal, takes the food, right? And we also discussed about mouth. Okay, any idea, Jadwa, how this starfish takes in food?
The starfish, there is a lid on the stomach. It opens and take the food inside it, and it closes it.
Very good, very good. Okay, so via its mouth, what it does, let's say there's a snail, which is its food. So what this starfish does, starfish gets around the snail's body. From its mouth, it takes out its stomach, and that stomach gets entrapped into the prey's body. Okay, it covers the prey's body, and it releases digestive juices and enzymes and simply eats the prey. That's how a starfish obtains its food, right? So these are some interesting ways in which animals obtain their food. So we were discussing about digestion. Okay, so Wafaz, in our previous class, we were talking about digestion, that there are two ways of digestion in animals. One is the physical method, another one is the chemical method. Okay, what are they?
Physical method and chemical method.
Yeah, what happens in them?
So
in the physical method?
So in physical method, we chew the food.
Yeah. And Jadwa, what happens in chemical method?
What, sir?
Look, digestion. In digestion, we have got two methods to digest the food. One is simply breaking the food. That is called physical method, in which basically we chew the food and grind it by the help of our teeth.
Yes.
And we have got chemical methods. Okay.
Yes.
What happens in the chemical methods? There are certain enzyme and digestive juices released by our body, right, Mafaz? So they basically starts to digest the food. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Can you give an example where there is a chemical action happening on the food? The question is for both of you. Name the process where. Yes. You see saliva, which is released by the salivary gland present in our mouth. So that saliva breaks down the starch. It partially breaks down the starch present in the food. Okay. And when further food goes into our stomach, there also hydrochloric acid is released. Pancreas releases its enzymes, and so on. There are other glands which releases their enzymes into the food that breaks it chemically. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So we started with digestion in human body. Okay. So we say that the food which we consume, the food which we are consuming, it is basically made up of what? It is made up of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins. Okay. And when we are consuming this food, it is not ready to be digested by our body. Right, Mafaz?
Yes,
So it
sir.
needs to be broken down. It needs to be broken down into soluble form, in the form in which our body can absorb it. Okay. So what happens? The food which we eat in our mouth, first it is broken down into smaller pieces, right? So from our mouth, it reaches our stomach, and then to our stomach, it reaches intestine. Right, Jadwa?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the insoluble food which we it got into soluble form. It converted further into soluble form so that our body will be able to absorb it, take energy from that food so that our body will be able to perform the different functions. Okay. So the food which we are consuming, it goes through a passage in our body. We do not take food directly into our stomach. First, we keep it in our mouth, then it goes via the food pipe, then it goes into where? To stomach, then to the intestines. And finally, when all the components of food has been absorbed by our body, there is nothing left of our use in that food. It is excreted via anus, right?
Yes, sir.
So we say that there we have got an alimentary canal. Okay, what is an alimentary canal, Mafaz?
So the digestive tract or the alimentary canal.
It is a digestive
The
tract in
digestive
any.
tract.
It is a digestive tract in animals. Yes. What about you, Yadva? What is an alimentary canal?
It is in a digestive tract where the food get digested.
Where the food gets digested.
Digested.
Very good. Okay. What is the length of alimentary canal in our body? In humans?
So 8 to 9 meters.
8 to 9 meters. Just Yadva, it is 8 to 9 meters in length. Okay. And what are other names of this alimentary canal?
So digestive tract.
Digestive tract, right? Okay, Nadwa, remember this name. It is also called gut or digestive tract. Okay. Tract basically means it's a path. Okay, it's a way. So hence, since digestion takes place here, hence we call it digestive tract. Now we also talked about parts of alimentary canal. Okay, since you have already studied the chapter, that's why I'm asking this. What are the different parts of the alimentary canal in human body?
Buccal cavity, esophagus, then
Yeah.
Small
Then
intestine, gland,
after esophagus, you have got which one?
stomach.
Stomach, and then
Small intestine, then large intestine.
Large intestine, right? Then you have got large intestine, and then you have got rectum and anus.
Rectum and anus.
And anus. Okay. So the large intestine, which if you see the figure here, large intestine, basically it ends into the rectum. Okay. So when we will discuss large intestine, we will see where the rectum is located. Okay.
Okay,
So
sir.
these are the different parts of alimentary canal. Okay, and each of them have got different functions to perform. Okay, like if we talk about the mouth, what does the mouth performs here?
Chew the food.
Chew
Make
the
it
food, the
ingest.
teeth present in our mouth chews the food.
Sir, it turns starch into sugar.
Yes, Mafaz. It partially digests the starch present in the food also, right? It does not
Yes.
completely digest the starch, but partial digestion of the starch takes place in the mouth, right, Jadwa? So from there,
Yes, sir.
it reaches into our stomach via the esophagus. Okay, and in each part of the alimentary canal, you see there is more and more breakdown of food taking place until it finally reaches the large intestine, where if there is any leftover amount of water present in the food, so final absorption of water takes place in the large intestine, and after that it is of no use for human body. If it retains in the human body for a very long period of time, it might be very harmful for the health. Okay, so human needs to eject the waste from the body from time to time. Okay, now we discussed about the motion of food in the alimentary canal. Any idea how food moves into the alimentary canal?
Yeah,
Yes,
the
the
food,
question is to both of you.
the walls in the food pipe moves like that.
Okay, what about you, Mafaz?
Sir, it goes like um, it
Look,
goes straight.
okay. Look, what happens when the food which we keep on our mouth, when it passes through the esophagus. Okay, what happens? There is continuous alternate contraction and relaxation of muscles. Okay, like this. If I were to draw the diagram again here, look, let's say this is a, let's take example why this, let's take help of this diagram here. Yeah, see this diagram here. Okay, Jadwa. So once you keep the food inside your mouth, and when it is engulfed, it goes through the food pipe. There is continuous contraction here. The muscles of the food pipe are contracting, and then they are relaxing. Again, they get contracted, and then they get relaxed. Again, they get contracted. So there is alternate contraction and relaxation of muscles. Okay.
Okay,
So
sir.
due to this, the food is able to move across the alimentary canal. So this movement is happening all around in all the alimentary canal. That's why you must have seen that when you have an empty stomach, okay, you must have experienced some internal motion in your stomach. Have you ever observed that? Like if you're very hungry, right, Mafaz?
Yes, sir.
If you're very hungry, you will experience that there's some motion going on in your intestines, in your stomach. You can feel it by placing your hand over your stomach, right? So that motion is actually peristalsis movement. What do we call that? Peristalsis movement. Okay. Read
Okay,
what
sir.
I have written here. Peristalsis is caused by alternate contraction and relaxation of the muscles of the alimentary canal. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So you see that how food moves in the alimentary canal? The food moves in the alimentary canal via a special movement called peristalsis movement. Okay. So if someone asks you how food moves into our food tract, how food moves across the alimentary canal, it moves via a
Food
special movement. Yeah,
Called peristalsis movement.
yeah, very good. It moves via a special movement called peristalsis movement. Okay, okay. And further, we talked about the human digestive system, the parts of the human digestive system, which basically you will see here: this mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine and large intestine, rectum and anus. They make part of the alimentary canal. Apart from these different different parts, you have got certain glands also in our body, right, Mufaz and Jadwa?
Yes, sir.
So there are certain glands in our body, like you see, if you see a very tasty food, certainly your mouth waters. Okay, where does that water come from in your mouth when you see a very tasty food? It is
Salivary gland.
because of, yeah, exactly, it is because of secretion of saliva from the salivary gland. That's why your mouth waters. Okay, so likewise we have got three main glands present in our body. What are they, Mafaz?
Salivary gland, pancreas and liver.
Pancreas and liver. These are the three important glands that releases their secretion into the alimentary canal, that helps in the digestion of food. Okay, if the food is to be broken down, okay, so we need secretion from the glands. Okay, and you see, why does a person experiences acidity? What do you guys think? Why a person experiences acidity? Because there is an acid secreted by stomach. When I will come to stomach, I will tell you that a person experiences acidity, ACI. You know what is acidity, right? So a
Ye-
person experiences acidity when there is an extra release of acid into the stomach. Okay, so we will discuss that also. Okay, when we were discussing about the stomach. Okay, so
Okay,
first let's
sir.
start from mouth. Okay. By the way, we discussed about glands also. Okay. So before we discuss about the parts of the alimentary canal, Jadwa, let's have a look at the glands also, just to get an idea
Yes.
of where these glands are present and what functions they perform.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
So if we talk about the salivary gland, it is found in pair of three. If its number is three. Okay. So this salivary gland secretes saliva, which is a watery juice. Okay. And what the saliva does, it helps in the conversion of what? It helps in the conversion of starch into soluble sugar. They secrete saliva, which helps in the conversion of starch into soluble sugar. Okay. So we say that salivary glands are located in mouth. That is also called what? Buccal
Buccal
cavity,
cavity.
right? So they secrete saliva, which helps in the conversion of starch into soluble sugar. And one more thing to be noted here, not all of the starch gets digested here. So one more thing you might note here, that partial digestion of partial digestion of what happens here?
So starch.
Starch. Very good. Partial digestion of the starch takes place in the mouth. It takes place in the mouth. Okay. Place in the mouth. Now, next in the list, we have got the biggest gland present in our body, that is the liver gland. Okay. Now, where is liver present in our body?
So above the abdomen on the right side.
Above the abdomen on the right side. Very good. Okay. So it is located above the abdomen on the right side. Okay. And it secretes which juice? Yes, Jadwa?
Yes, sir. It secretes bile juice.
It secretes bile juice. Okay. And it is the largest gland in the human body. Okay. Okay. One more question to you guys. What do you think this bile juice, where does it get stored?
This
Sorry,
Liver
gallbladder.
does not. Yes. Yes, Jadwa? Yes,
In
Mafaz. Is it
gallbladder.
gallbladder? Yeah.
Ah,
It is
gallbladder.
gallbladder. Okay, Jadwa.
Yes.
Bile juice is stored in gallbladder. Gets stored in gallbladder. Okay, and this gallbladder is located just below the liver. Next in line, we have got pancreas. Okay, so this pancreas secretes digestive juice in the what? In the alimentary canal. Okay, so this pancreas secretes some more digestive juices into the alimentary canal that further breaks down the food. Okay, in the alimentary canal. Okay, to be more specific, where does it releases its juices? In alimentary canal, in the stomach. Okay, now one question you guys must put here, that do these glands directly puts their secretion into the alimentary canal, or do they have got a passage?
So it has a passage.
It has a passage, right? It has got a passage here. Okay, see this diagram here, Jadwa.
Yes, sir.
Just my first observe this diagram here. Look, there is a salivary gland here. Okay, this actually is a salivary gland. Remember, I told you there are three pairs of salivary gland, and these are follows. This is the first one, this is the second one, and this is the third one. These are all salivary glands. Okay, and notice a tube-like duct here. Can you guys notice this? This is a tube-like duct here, which I'm underlining here. Okay, that is a duct. Okay, so let's say I have got a gland here. Let's say that's a rough diagram just for understanding. Let's say this is a gland. Okay,
Okay, sir.
or let's say this is a salivary gland. This is a salivary gland. So if this gland has to release its secretion into the mouth, it has got one tube attached to it. There's a tube attached to it. Okay, so that tube via which it releases water in the mouth, that is called duct. Okay,
Yes, sir.
yeah. What do you think? What are ducts?
The
There is
tube
passage.
Yeah, ducts are passages via which glands releases their secretion into the alimentary canal. So we say ducts are passages via which glands releases their secretions in the alimentary canal. Okay, so in short, we had a look at what are the glands which are basically releasing their juices in the alimentary canal. So now let's begin the real discussion about the parts of the alimentary canal. Okay, so first we will be talking about mouth, that is the buccal cavity. Okay, okay, before we discuss that, so far do you guys have any confusion?
No, sir.
Awesome.
Okay, very good. So let's start. That is the passage of food from mouth to anus. Is my handwriting understandable to you guys? Can you understand my handwriting?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, okay. Passage of food from mouth to anus. So we are going to have a look at the journey of food in our body, how it goes from mouth to different parts and gets released via the anus. So in this series, first you have got mouth. Okay. So in mouth, what happens when you take in food in mouth? First, it gets broken into smaller pieces by the help of teeth. Okay, It is moved across in our mouth by the help of tongue. Further, saliva which mixes in the food, it breaks down the starch into soluble sugars. So this whole mixing of food in the stomach, that is called mastication. Okay. So
Yes,
we
sir.
say that food is taken through our mouth, our mouth in small bits. Okay. It is chewed and grinded by our teeth, and it is moistened by saliva. It gets mixed by saliva. Okay. And it gets moves across our mouth via tongue. The tongue helps in the mixing of food with saliva. Tongue helps in the mixing of food with saliva. Okay. Now the process of this mixing of food with saliva and it's turning into smaller pieces has got a this process has got a term. What do we call that? That is called mastication. That is called
Mastication.
mastication. MASTICATION. Any idea what is this mastication which I just described? It is simply that process of digestion which begins in the mouth. It is the process of digestion of food in the mouth where it is broken down into smaller pieces and it gets mixed with saliva. Okay. So you guys are you guys taking notes along with what I'm discussing in the class? Are you guys taking notes also?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, so you guys need to make notes of the class also parallelly. Okay, so that you will be able to keep track of what has been discussed in the class. Okay,
Yes,
and time to time I will be asking some questions also. Okay.
okay, sir.
Okay. What is the length of alimentary canal, by the way?
8 to 9 meter.
Yes, my fast.
8 to 9 meters, sir.
8 to 9 meter. Very good. So mastication, the digestion of the process of digestion of food in the mouth. Okay, where it is broken down and is mixed with saliva. Okay, one question to you guys. Does food get completely digested or partially digested in the mouth?
Partially.
Partially.
Partially, right? It gets partially digested in the mouth. Okay. Now, what is the role of saliva here? How does it help in digestion of food?
It helps by giving it.
Yes, my
So
first.
it turns starch into sugar.
Okay, that is the function it performs. Apart from it, what it does, it makes the food smooth and slippery. Okay, so that it will be easily able to go down the food pipe. If the food is not moist and not slippery, you will have a hard time swallowing the food. Right, Jadwa?
Yes, sir.
Right, Mufaz. So that's why saliva has got two different roles to perform here. First is the digestion of starch. saliva's function here. Saliva has two functions. What are they? First one is the digestion.
Turning
Yeah.
starch into sugar and making the food moist.
Yeah. Right, Jibba?
Yes, sir.
Making the food smooth and slippery. Smooth and slippery. That's why if someone engulfs a big chunk of food without chewing it, he might have a hard time swallowing that food. He might not be able to. Like if you have got a very hard piece of laddu, you know, and you
Yes.
directly engulf that, it will get stuck into the food pipe. So that's why it needs to be broken down and mixed with water. Okay. Now, after stomach, we have got after mouth, we have got another important part of the alimentary canal. That is what?
The food pipe.
Like esophagus.
That is the food pipe, also called as esophagus. So see here, esophagus is basically a pipe which is connecting the mouth to the stomach,
Stomach.
right? So this esophagus, it starts from the throat and connects the mouth to the stomach. Okay. And what is the another name of esophagus?
Food pipe.
The food pipe.
Food pipe. Okay. And you see the movement of food along esophagus. It is helped by which movement?
Contraction.
The contraction and relaxation of muscles.
We have got a name for that movement.
Uh,
We have got a name for that motion. What do we call that? I already told you guys. We have got a special name for that motion, that is called peristalsis motion, right?
Sir.
yes, sir.
Okay. So esophagus, it is the pipe that connects the mouth and stomach, right? Food reaches to our stomach via this pipe. Okay. And here is a thing, peristalsis motion. Remember this. Okay. So peristalsis movement is a downward movement. Okay. It is a downward movement where there is alternate contraction and relaxation of muscles. Where there is alternate contraction and relaxation of muscles. Of muscles, which helps in downward movement of food, right? Remember one thing, it is a downward movement, not upward movement. Okay. So while I'm writing the definition,
Okay, sir.
what is the reason for vomiting? What happens in vomiting? Think of the answer while I'm writing the definition.
Sir, I know.
Yeah. What is the reason?
There is two pipe. One is food pipe and wind pipe. While we are eating, if we breathe, the food can go into wind pipe. So that makes.
That is another thing. That is the reason for hiccups. You're actually describing hiccups. That is
Okay,
called
sir.
in Hindi. It is called hitchki. Yeah,
Mm.
we call that hitchki. That is the reason for hiccups when the food reaches the windpipe. Okay, if you have got actually a cap that is in between the food pipe and the windpipe, when that cap, that is called epiglottis, it is open, the food reaches the windpipe. That's why you have got hiccups. But I'm asking about why we experience vomiting.
For eating more food.
Yeah, for eating unhealthy foods. Okay, we experience vomiting. So how come the food which we have taken into our stomach comes back to our mouth? Any idea, Mafaz and Yudva? Look,
No, sir.
peristalsis is a downward movement. But if you take in food which is not digested by the stomach, it is not going to further pass through the passage. It is not going to further pass into the alimentary canal. It is not going to pass into the large intestine and a small intestine. So it needs to be immediately taken out from the body. So there is a reverse peristalsis. Okay, there is a reverse peristalsis. So while you are taking in food, it goes downward. But if there is vomiting, in the case of vomiting, this piece of food, if it is to be removed, it will go in upward movement. It will be released from the mouth. Why vomiting? So in that case, what is happening? That is called reverse peristalsis. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, can you guys see me? The laptop actually turned off. Am I
No.
visible?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, just give me a minute to connect again via the laptop.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so vomiting happens when the food gets released from the stomach via reverse peristalsis. In vomiting, unwanted food gets removed from the stomach via which movement? Is it via peristalsis or reverse peristalsis?
Reverse peristalsis.
Reverse peristalsis. Via reverse peristalsis. Very good. Okay. Yeah, just give me a minute. I'm connecting via the laptop. Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. Am I visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about the interruption. Yeah. So next in line, we are going to discuss about the stomach. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, what happens in the stomach once the food reaches the stomach? Yes. Any idea?
Sir, it dissolves in the hydrochloric acid.
Okay. Hydrochloric acid is released into this into the food. Yes, Jodhba, what about you?
Yes, sir. The inner lining of the stomach secretes mucus.
It secretes mucus, and the
Yes.
glands present in the inner lining of the stomach secretes
Yes.
hydrochloric acid, and
Hydro.
both of them act on the food. Okay.
Yes. Okay, sir.
Now, one interesting question to you, to both of you. Look, our body is capable to digest the meat. It can digest the flesh of the animals. Okay. But why the flesh present in the alimentary canal, but why the flesh present in the stomach? Our alimentary canal is also made up of different type of flesh. Okay. So why our body is not digesting the flesh present in our alimentary canal? Yes. What do you guys think? Why my let me rephrase my question. Our body can digest meat, right?
Yes.
So why the meat which is present inside our stomach, the lining of the stomach, that is also made up of meat. The esophagus, the food pipe, that is also made up of meat. So why our body is not digesting that? If it can, if you take in meat, if you eat meat, our body can digest that. But why our body is not digesting the meat present in our stomach? Think of this interesting question. Yes.
It, sir, it is this different type of meat.
No, it is not a different type of meat. Okay. It is very similar to the meat of animals. Okay. Look, there's a thing here. If you see the secretions of the stomach, the inner line, it secretes two special juices here. One is the mucus. Okay. One is what? It is the mucus. Another one is HCl acid. HCl acid. Okay, which is what is the full form of HCl acid? Any idea?
Hydrochloric acid.
Hydrochloric acid.
Hydrochloric acid. Very good. So you see, the meat present in the stomach is not getting digested because of this wonderful secretion, that is mucus, right?
Yes, sir.
That is the reason why the meat present in the stomach does not get digested. Okay, that is because of the secretion of mucus, right? So that is an interesting answer to the question why the meat present in the stomach does not get digested. Okay, now so let's discuss about the stomach. Okay, who will define a stomach? You guys? What
The
does stomach
is
look
a
like?
thick. The stomach is a thick wall bag. It is look like a J shape.
Yeah,
And it is the widest part of the alimentary canal.
very good. It is the widest part of the alimentary canal and it has got a J shape. Okay, so we say that it is a muscular bag, right? That receives food from the esophagus. Food from the esophagus. Okay, and what happens in the stomach? The food gets mixed with certain gastric juices and hydrochloric acid. So the gastric juice that is being released into the stomach, that is the mucus. Okay, now so in the stomach, food gets mixed with what? Mixed with gastric juices, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that is mucus and HCl acid. Okay, so now what is the action of HCl and mucus here? Let's discuss that. Okay, before we discuss that, where are they being released from? They are being released from the walls of the stomach. Okay,
Yes, sir.
these are released from walls of the stomach. Okay, now you see the food which is coming into our stomach. Is it free from bacteria? Is it free from contamination?
No.
We eat fast food
No.
from market also, right? We eat
Yes.
unhygienic food also. So there
Yes.
has got to be so many bacteria in it. So
Yes, sir.
this HCl which is being released by the wall of the stomach, that HCl actually kills all the bacteria and contamination present in the food, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
HCl, right? HCl performs the function of killing the bacteria, killing the bacteria. And what this mucus performs?
It protects the lining of the stomach.
Very good. The lining of the stomach is being protected from action of HCl by mucus, right? So
Yes, sir.
stomach is prevented from HCl by mucus. Okay. Now further you will see that the gastric juices, it helps in the digestion of proteins in the stomach. Okay. What the gastric juices does here, which is mucus here, it helps in the digestion of proteins here. The protein, different types of food which we eat, it contains proteins also. Okay. What are some foods which are rich in protein? Can you guys give some example of foods rich in protein?
Sir, egg,
Egg. Yes,
meat,
Jadwa. Meat. Okay. And certain cereals. And certain cereals also, they are rich in protein. So this stomach of ours, it actually works like a mixer and a churner, where food, in what happens in a mixer, the food gets broken into very smaller pieces and it is churned and mixed, right? So the food which stays in our stomach before it gets excreted from our body, it stays in the stomach for 2 to 3 hours. The food which we are eating, it is going to stay in our stomach for 2 to 3 hours. Okay. And in that time, the stomach acts like a mixer and it makes food into a very soluble paste that is called chyme. What I said here, our stomach acts like a mixer. Okay. And it turns our food into a paste. That paste looks like a milky color. So it converts our food into a milky paste. Paste of which color? Of milk color, of simply white color, into a milky paste called chyme. Okay. And this chyme is going to stay in our stomach for a while. And how much time it takes for food to get converted into chyme? 2 to 3 hours. Okay. So our stomach acts like a mixer and it turns our food into a milky paste called chyme in 2 to 3 hours, right?
yes,
So that is what happens to the food in our stomach. Two things happen to it. First, it gets converted into chyme, and whatever bacteria is present in our food, it is going to be get killed by the action of HCl acid, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now, after stomach, our food is going to reach which part of the alimentary canal?
Small intestine.
To the small intestine. Okay. To the small intestine. Now, the food which is going to be received by this small intestine, what is the nature of food going to be? Is it going to be basic in nature or acidic in nature?
so basic in nature,
Basic in nature. What about you, Jadwa?
Acidic nature.
Acidic in nature. Why so? The answer is correct, but what is the reason for it being acidic? The reason is obvious here, because just we saw that the inner lining of the stomach releases HCl acid, right?
Yes, sir.
It releases HCl acid, while mucus is not of basic nature, although it counters the action of HCl. It protects the stomach from action of HCl. Okay, but it is not a very strong base. Hence, HCl is a very strong acid. Hence, the nature of food, it is going to be acidic in nature. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, before we end today's class, few questions to you guys. Okay, like what are the steps of nutrition in human body? I picked two questions. First question is that list the steps of nutrition in our body. Yes, food goes through which steps?
First, it goes to buccal cavity. After buccal cavity, it goes to the
No.
esophagus.
I'm talking about the steps. Okay, food basically goes through 5 steps in our body: ingestion, digestion, assimilation, absorption, exhaustion. That one I'm talking about.
Ingestion, digestion, and assimilation. Then
So the ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and digestion are the
digestion.
And agitation. Very good. Okay. Now one more question to you guys: that which is the largest gland present in the human body?
Liver.
and liver.
Liver.
Liver. Largest gland present in human body is the liver. Okay. Can you tell me one more thing? Which juice is secreted by liver?
So bile juice.
Bile juice.
Bile juice. Okay. And where does it get stored?
Gallbladder.
Gallbladder. Right. Very good. Gets stored in the gallbladder. Okay. So once we will finish the chapter, we will be taking questions from NCERT exercises also. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay then. Any confusion from today's class?
No, sir.
Okay then. So far we have completed mouth, foot, pipe, and stomach. So from next class, which topic we are going to start?
Small
Digestion
intestine.
of food in small intestine. Okay. Right. So you guys, the task for you guys is to read about how food gets digested in mouth, food, pipe, and stomach. Okay. I will be asking some more questions from them. And next class we will be